Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I was going to do something different here, and something isn't working, but I don't know what. So let me go back and see if I can fix it. Yeah, I'm trying to do some editing here. I'm having a little trouble with some stuff here. I'm not sure what's going on here. All right. Well, good morning or good afternoon, not morning. Lucinda, see you on here. Monica, Joy Sada, hello. SS Leona, good afternoon. Bearded, good afternoon. Let's see what I got here. Had a little trouble with my settings here. Don't know why. I'm hoping my mic is working okay for you. I was getting a little echo out of it earlier, so. Go back in here again. Still having troubles with it. And Gigi, I see you're in here. Welcome. Flying the Skies. I see you in here. Bobik, see you in here. Yeah. For some reason, my other camera isn't working on here. At least I can't get it up to run. Okay, Scampy Girl, I see you. Okay, I threw a word up there to go over a little bit. It's called reality. And it seems like a lot of the different creators out there, they're creating a different reality, I think, than what the real reality. They create their own. Some of it has to do with court stuff. Some of it has to do with defending what they're doing to people out there, let's say like myself or others that have an opposing view of Mr. Hales. It seems like he's the hub of everything that's going on, obviously. And sometimes you look at it and you wonder where he comes up with the things he does. And the one thing you can be sure of is there's a lot of things that are being said that just aren't true. And a lot of people take it and they hear it so often, they start questioning, is it true or isn't it? Just because something's said doesn't make it so. And a lot of times I notice that they'll take and spend 100 to 200 words giving you their reality of a word or a paragraph. And let's put it this way, they'll take a video that might be an hour long and spend 3 hours on it. It's almost an impossibility. And I've never seen anything like that quite before. But a lot of it's double talk. And if you do it enough, you can completely change reality of night and day as far as what it really is. And then you question, was the right name given to the right time of the day before it's all over with? And it's that way with life or the description of it. Now, a simple thing like having an opinion. How many times can we explain what an opinion is? There's different levels of opinion. Somebody that you don't want to go along with their opinion, that's fine. You can always shut it off and go your own way. But they choose to rehash it over and over and over as if they can change what your opinion is or what it means. And you're the only one that can explain your own opinion. And others that come in there and try to do that are all wet. And they don't realize it. And here comes in the reality of the whole subject is, okay, if you're the only one to explain it, why do so many people get in there and try to redefine your opinion? Because the way I look at it, it's yours. And mine is mine. It belongs to me. And I get on here and I throw on a little bit, but it doesn't matter where it's talking about the last meal I ate or fixed or something like that, or what's went on in my life over the last 82 years, or maybe nothing more than my married life of 62 years. They create a field around whatever I'm talking about and try to take and make something bad about it or something that can't exist. Trying to make it as if it's not real reality, as if maybe I'm not capable of thinking in today's reality of what's going on or what was going on or what I'm looking for to create in the future. What I would ask of you out there is when you decide to make your own opinion about the subject, since everybody out there right now that is for or against the drama that's going on in Otter Creek, and quite frankly, even Ohio, because there's a court case up there that's going on as well. And it's taken up a lot of space out there, and it gets in your mind, and right now they're doing everything they can to warp what your opinion is going to be as you go along and listen to them. It's almost like a war of words out there. You know, in something like that, it's a matter of who gets the attention usually first that comes up with it. These court cases that are going on that are civil rather than criminal. In a civil case, I would say the person that has the best hope of winning a case, percentage-wise, is a person with the most money and the most influence. And everyone knows that money can buy a certain amount of influence. A bad actor can sometimes bring you into their realm and talk you into following them, even though in your mind you may feel that's not the best interest either. Sometimes you make friends with people. Well, how you doing there, John? Betty? I just noticed that you came in. The word reality itself has different meanings on the way that it's approached. And so when you get somebody that has a lot of words they can use, they seem to be able to bend your reality. And it's kind of unfair. Usually your first instinct is the true instinct. The reality of things that are going on right now, where there's so much mudslinging, if you just slow the whole thing down and take a little bit of time and say, does this make sense? It's hard to understand the way they come up with the meanings they have. A few months ago, they were doing everything they could to make me look like a bad character. They questioned my character itself. I've been here over 80 years, survived pretty well intact for my age. I still was married to the person that I met in high school over 60 years ago. Actually, I met her about 65 years ago. It was a wonderful time, that whole time. And at my age, I'm starting all over again with my part of what the future is going to be. The advantage I have in that is that I've been here long enough that it'll be a lot easier for me to take those steps, even though in my mind right now, it's not the steps I've wanted to take. I never intended on doing it by myself. But I can tell you this, that in the way I look at it, my reality is I'll never meet anybody like my wife again. It'd be impossible. We grew up and we formed a reality of our own together. And I don't have enough time to do that over again. All I can do is do the best I can with what I got and hope that I don't get a lot of interference, which right now, on a regular basis, I seem to be involved with a lot of channels out there. All these that are following Jeremy are doing everything they can to make my life miserable. And they started out quite some time ago. But in the last couple of months, since my wife has passed away, they seem to have stepped up a little more. The court actions have actually slowed down. But I think because they have a lack of things to talk about, they decided to make my life as miserable as they can in the last months or years, whatever I've got left. They're going to make me or punish me for my opinions. What a shame to go through this far in life and all of a sudden your opinion doesn't count anymore, except in the reality shows. You see, each video out there, they're running their own reality show. And I'm not allowed to be in that ring, if you will. And the way they try to stop it is, well, they try to threaten people that are going to be witnesses, let's say, in one of the court cases out there. If you remember, it's only been a few months ago that the threat was out there that anything that was said, if you were a witness, it was going to be used in future cases. And the other threat is, well, there's a lot of people going to be in these cases, and they've even went after some of the mods out there to threaten them, like in a backstage way. They don't necessarily come out and say, I'm going after you. They do it as an overhaul of everybody, saying, well, if you're in this case, everything you say is going to be used against you in the court of law in a criminal case, even though you're in a civil case. There are certain protections, by the way, of obviously you don't want to lie when you're before the courts. What would happen would be you would be in contempt of court. Not that you're going to spend the rest of your life in there, but you could very well get fined. And then at that point, that becomes criminal. Yeah. So protect yourself. Tell what you believe to be truth and go on with life. Don't let somebody stop you from doing your duties to, whether it's a witness or whatever you are, Don't be afraid to stand up for it. It never hurts to talk to a lawyer and say, how far can I go with this? Because I'm not allowed a court-appointed person cost-wise, even though you may not have the money to fight anything in there. Winners actually are people that have money. And some of them make money just by the fact that they're in a court system, and they use that to make content for their channel. And so it seems like all these other people that are around Jeremy there seem to have a little bit of legal education all of a sudden. They know the law better than the lawyers that are representing. Well, it doesn't matter who they're representing. If it's not Jeremy, well, then they consider themselves better than those that are representing yourself. You know, you go in there, you got MLS and his lawyer, okay? You got Bruce. He's a lawyer, has been for a lot of years. You've had one that passed away recently that represented Michelle and John. A lot of these lawyers, when they're facing a case like what we've got out there going, the reality for them is this. Most of the people out here don't have the money to get involved in a long case. It ties you down. There's some of your planning, you have to alter it to a certain extent. You have a guy that admittedly, over the course of the last 2 years, has said that it's not a matter of winning, it's a matter of bankrupting those people that he sues. Because that's what his intent. He said that. He intends on doing that, bankrupt you. Okay. Now, when you look at it, it sounds like, well, how does he know he can do it? One of the part of it is it's because of the amount of money he has, and also the fact, if you look at it, how much money he generates from the people that follow his channel. In other words, his social media that behind him is giving him the money to fight the course. Then there's a GoFundMe. There's a direct amount of money to go back to the lawyer that bypasses all YouTube financing. Also bypasses Jeremy. He doesn't have to worry about the tax liabilities or declaring it to the IRS. And then the money that he makes, that he says, look, this is to help me in my cases, that he sells on his auction channel. Okay. So that's a lot of finances going in there to fight a battle. And even though it's supplied by others, should he win, he will reap the benefits from it. And all along the way, somebody else is making the business that could someday make a profit, maybe. On the other hand, if he loses and loses big and the slap suits take over, then the reality that we were talking about then is he thinks it's going to be protected by putting them in LLCs. And he's said that and stated it multiple times. Now, when you do that, it shows intent of what you're doing with protective enterprise. And the one thing I can tell you is, if you look at laws like, well, let's just go off the rails here a minute. Some people have thought, well, maybe I can protect my funding. But what about, there's a Brady law back there for fathers that owe money. That follows you to your grave. That if you owe money, it follows you to your grave to pay for child support. So no matter how you try to protect it, you can do all kinds of things. The reality is, even after you're gone, any finances that are left in your estate will go to pay that debt. Well, when you reach out there and say you're going to do something that the intent is to break the law by protecting things, and then you go out and break the law all you want, and you don't want to be able to collect the money that you're directly earned and that you've got holding directly for yourself. And you can't hold it in a trust, by the way, when you lie about things like that you're going to go out and commit breaking the law. So we'll just see how well that goes over. The reality is there's usually a lot of ways to crack the shell of an egg. And we're going to see what it takes. Now, reality. Do you think it was a good idea for a lawsuit to go against so many and then piss them all off by saying all you can on a weekly basis or at least a video basis about those people. It wasn't so long ago that the insults coming from that particular creator was about the people he lived around in that little town, the people that he worked with previously, what he thought of the authorities. This is the same person that tries to tell you what should be going on with children. And in 2014, he lost a wife. And shortly after that, he lost the right to seize children. Yeah. And of course, he has an excuse for that. He'll tell you that. It's too bad. You know, the reality of all this is most of us have said we're not going to go in there and contact his relatives. Why would we? And yet, we got Leslie out there. Her parents were contacted. Her workers were contacted. Her bosses were contacted. She lost her job because of the way she is pursued by everybody that's around the Jeremy case. That's going after family, after your way of making a living. And they're all involved in it. It's like a bunch of vultures. And they love it if there's fresh meat out there. Somebody new come to the channel. And then there's a lot of little channels around there with 2,000 or 3,000 followers. And they're hungry. And they're wanting their video to grow, their channel to grow. And they're just as vicious, if not more vicious, with what they say and do. That's not fair either. But gold lust will make you do a lot of things you wouldn't normally do. And if the promise is, hey, you come along with us, you go out there and you check these people out. You make the accusations, and we'll back you up. And meanwhile, you can use our name, and our people will help protect you. And we'll help your channel grow. And voila. You automatically have expanded. Doesn't cost you a nickel, just costs you a few words over your own internet. And you pat them on the back and you appear in their channel and you say, oh my goodness, look what these guys dug up. You hand them the material and then they dig it up for you. And most of the time you think we're foolish enough to believe everything you say. Then you take a channel like Lisa out there, and she digs up the real documentation and the witnesses and brings them on the show, and you say, that's not true. Those people are lying. And then the documentation you claim isn't real either, that it's all forgery and stuff like that. And you think everybody's going to believe it, but eventually the truth always comes to the surface, and it will. It will. And one day, if the judges say something in one's favor, that judge knows what they're doing. A week later, they knock down one of the submittals, and they say, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's no good. I knew that from the start. And it just goes right around like that. Within a week, they're all saying the same thing. They're not individuals. They don't really have an opinion. They have it's almost like it's scripted sometimes if you listen to it. You don't believe me? Go back and look at a few of the verbiage, what's said on those different channels, and see if I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. And I still say that my opinions are guaranteed by the Constitution. And I get people in my channel almost weekly that say, your opinions don't count, Ray. You're wrong. You can't go out there and put your opinion out there when we think you're wrong. We know you're wrong because Jeremy said. All right. Well, then, what about all the names out there? All of us now have nicknames. Some of them are horrendous. Some of them were very well of the, we understand relationship to maybe the name, our name itself, our Christian name. Others are more into what will rhyme or what they can make out of it more derogatory than actually a positive outlook on that person in any way. Where you call me something that would rhyme like Mary, Scary Mary, or Mary, Math is scary, whatever. Pretty soon everybody's saying the same thing. Even the people that oppose you say the same thing. Why do I know? Because it slipped sometimes. I've done it. If I listen to something over and over and over, then I'm beginning to use it. It rubs off on you. Can't help it. It does. That's reality. Another thing that happens. We all live in different streams of reality. I wanted you to get up there and look at how many things does that really describe. It's whatever you want it to describe right up here in that head of yours. There again, reality is not always truth. It's what you made of it, what you understand, what you're trying to make somebody else understand. That's the reality of the day, the minute, the hour, whatever. When I get on here and I get onto something that these guys don't like very well, or if the shoe fits a little too tight, they'll take one sentence and they'll make an hour's program go by like a speeding projectile. I say projectile because the description of anything that you're talking about is something that will maybe undo the subject that you might be talking about at the time. It may be something that one of them will say, oh, that's fantastic. We'll get it into a rhythm. You know what I mean? Yeah. How can I do it that way? Get in a little rhythm. That way you listen to it. You get hypnotized by the voice and how it goes. It goes straight across. And then when they want to slap you, they go, hey, you know what I mean? Raise their voice. You're an SOB. Okay, that's where you want it. Try to put a thread in it by raising your voice up. Do all kinds of stuff. Make people back off from the things you don't want them to talk about. You can tell if you get under their collar a little bit because they'll raise their voice. And they'll take the partner they're talking with at the time. And they'll bring up a subject as if they didn't know anything about the subject. And then they'll say, I didn't realize that. I'm going to have to look into that. I didn't know that. Yeah, but you have to dramatize it a little bit if you want to get it across. And these people do that. And if you try to be serious, and I'm pretty much serious in a lot of things that I talk on here, right away they juice it up with some drama. He don't know what he's talking about. He's getting too old. His mind don't work right. I wouldn't trust him. Well, you wouldn't? Well, then what is it you don't trust about me? You don't want me around your children. Oh my goodness sake. That's nice to know. I really didn't have any intent to be around your family in any way, shape, or form. Okay. But you seem to make out as if I'm a scourge on earth. And I assure you, I don't quite fit that bill. Maybe in your life or in your opinion, I'm a scourge according to you. But you see, I don't think much of your opinion or what you talk about. And I'm not talking about people on my channel here. I'm talking about those that are on the attack every single time I put something up here on the video. I'm not here to please those people. I'm here to explain only my opinion. Yeah, a little bit. I like to try to protect myself against those, but they say that well, they, like they said, killer mentality. I got news for you. I have never done anything like that to anybody in my entire life. No. During the military, I was prepared. I didn't have a choice. You see, I was out there sitting on a border and I had people looking at me with an intent of protecting their side, and then I'm protecting my side. Okay? That's what I was in the military. Nothing big, no big deal. My country said, come help us? And I did. I'll have to say a lot of people didn't and wouldn't. And today, the people that do have multiple types. To be in the guard now, it's not as much as a backup as it is being the force that's used. The backup force is now the force. Why? We don't have a draft. We have taken the obligation away from the citizens of our country and said, you no longer have to serve in the military. You get a free ride. Wow. Yeah, we give you a free ride. You can go out there and protest the freedoms we give you. We gave you. Well, that part, in today's world, it's been so many years since they got rid of the draft that nobody out there is going to do anything about bringing it back. I think they'd rather let our country fall rather than do that. Obligations out there. Our court systems have let us down. The protection of the laws don't exist for you and I in a civil court. Doesn't. What do you do when you get down there and you have to go before this judge and say, Judge, I can't afford a lawyer? Well, ask Michelle and John. They had tried over and over. Their lawyers have been chased, called names. They go into their background and tell everybody what their families are and what they're like, where they work. If you were a lawyer, would you want to represent Michelle and John? Maybe for about 10 minutes till you get that first call. Till you looked out the door, there's somebody out there watching your door for you. Like maybe somebody coming down here to my driveway, taking pictures of my yard and my trailer that's out there in the lot, travel trailer. I hope they're proud. Yeah, that's reality. My reality. That's what's happening to me. The people that go after my family. The people that called things out about my wife while she was laying in her deathbed. And I say that because 7 times my wife bled out, and each time she was close to reaching out to the Lord. One time, her veins had collapsed. Literally, there was 5 people. One of them was on the bed with her, trying to get a vein pumped up. There was 2 on each side, beside the bed, doing the same thing, putting needles in. There was bumps appearing on her yard where they blew the veins out, and a great big knot would get up there, and then it would spread out and the whole arm turned black. Now, that's what my wife went through while these people were against her. They don't care. No empathy. And it's done gone now. I mean, everybody out there has forgiven them that followed them and even tried to say anything. I had a few come on my channel and say, I'm sorry, Ray. And the ones that did, I tried to acknowledge them. I understood they had some empathy, regardless of what they thought of me. Now, I've survived that little part. I'm not happy, that my wife is gone. But I'm back on my feet again and doing the best I can. And I am going to protect what I can that's left of my family, even though they're being pursued now. There was one on there that said, how would I like it if they put my daughter's head where her head had been? As if she ever had anything to do with it. Now, the people that went after her did it because she went after them. My daughter didn't do anything wrong. But they want to make it as if she did. My dad didn't do anything wrong. But that didn't stop him from posting his picture out there on Facebook. Didn't stop him from tearing a memorial up there in Otter Creek either. This bunch of people that follow these people that think they're so great and that we're so bad, I've never tore anybody's memorial up. Lisa's never done that. Gabe has never done that. Robbie's never done that. His wife has never done that. His child, his son, his daughter, they haven't done anything like that. John hasn't done anything. Michelle hasn't done anything like that. Super David hasn't done anything like that. Guapo hasn't done anything like that. Wow. What give them the right to go out and do something like that? What did it? Can any of you tell me? Please do. These people claim to be Christian. Come on. Come on. I'm trying to give you some reality. That first word I put out there on my video, reality. What is the reality? That we can't see what's in front of us. Now, me talking like this on here, don't you think that's going to give every one of them fodder for a month? They're going to twist it and tear it apart and do every single thing they can to put me in the shithole. Yeah. And all I'm trying to do is say, look, let's act like people, real people that have somewhat of a reality, what a Christian should be, have some little bit of empathy at least. Don't talk about the people of the past. Don't wish them worse the way down. When my wife was in that hospital, 3 different hospitals, by the way, and in the helicopter, when she was in a helicopter, they had no idea if she's going to live from one minute to the next. The whole time she was in that thing. And we didn't either. You know, I'd give everything I could to change those last few months my wife was alive. Part of the time, I was taken up with court stuff, and they attacked the way I did it. And they attacked my friends, accused them of things they didn't do. They thought that was okay. If they could take me away from my wife being by her bedside, that was okay. I can tell you every minute I spent with my wife was worth more money than I've ever had in my life. Money means nothing when it comes to the person you love the most. Nothing. Has no worth. The reality of this whole thing, it was almost $1 million for my wife to live 2 months. $1 million. Luckily, I have insurance and some friends, and the good Lord was in there helping the whole time. I had thousands of people praying for my wife and myself during that period of time. And I probably had a lot more people that were praying against me. Or maybe they can't. Maybe they pray to a different leader. Maybe they're not disciples of Christ of any kind. Am I upset? Yeah, I'm upset. A lot of people don't want to listen to it. Well, step into my shoes for a little bit. Well, I'm done with my rant. Maybe you guys have some ideas about reality. And if you want to throw them up there, I'll look at them and we'll talk over the reality of whatever you're going through or had to go through or may go through. That's up to you. You don't have to talk about it. I did because it was time. It was time to let people know how I feel about those out there that are attacking me, chasing me, and doing everything they can to my family to make it miserable for them, even though they had absolutely nothing to do with it. All right, that's it. That's all I got on this subject. What was I thinking? Thank you. I'm glad you do stand with me and your morals any day. I thank you. Thank you for standing up. Remember, they've made threads against people that are in the chats, by the way. On a regular basis, they say, hey, I took a screenshot of that. So protect yourself as well. Oh, what else we got in here? Uh, I'm not sure. I'm probably maybe 16, 1,700 miles away from Central Florida, something like that. I'm thinking. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked it up. Every time I've went to Florida, I flew, and I usually flew down to Fort Myers. I had relatives down there, so. And when I decide to take off, I may not be taking just a direct route. This summer or this spring or whatever time I take off, I've got several things I have to do. There's some legal things on this end I've got to take care of. I've got to make sure I've got reservations made, things like that, and ensure that my route is right. So it may take me anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to get where I'm going. I decided I wasn't going to get in a big hurry on the road. I'm just at the age where I have to rest sometimes. Terry says, I live in my own reality. I hope everybody lives in their own reality and don't let somebody else intrude on it to change what you are. What was that thing says, Ray? You want to rant, you earned it. Thank you. Kevin Jays, hi, Ray. Thank God he doesn't grant prayers of hate. No, matter of fact, you might have trouble getting a prayer to him when you use it for hate. I'm not going to test the Lord for doing things that are negative for me. I would rather he reached out and maybe healed the hearts of a lot of those people. I think a lot of them that are out there got involved before all this hate got stirred up so bad. And a lot of them have a good side. And even within the last 2 weeks, I've had some positive people that were over there. But he's made it very plain to the people that are following him that anybody that comes over to the other side in the chats are going to face his wrath. So be very careful and don't get involved if you're not already involved. That's all I can say. We should file a class action suit for emotional distress. Yeah, I believe that there is a lot. While my wife was in the hospital, I didn't realize how bad it was until the pressure of submittal that I had to make into the court. And every minute I spent going back and forth with my wife. And about the time that submittal had to be in there, I was having to buy supplies, get them ordered, get them here, get a ramp in. There was a lot of stuff going on. It's hard to explain to you, but I was really cutting straws in half, trying to make sure how I was going to be able to accomplish it all. I really didn't know how I was going to do it. My wife come first, obviously. But if you don't get your submittals in, it's default. If it's default, then a judge decides how much you're going to have to pay for that default. Even though, my heart wasn't in it, I can tell you that. And as I get around to the survival side of this whole thing, my temper starts flaring up a little bit. And I still have the good sense to understand the legalities of not following the law, let's put it that way. Even though the law may not work in my favor in a lot of things, I have to figure out how I can make it work. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. Yeah, Johanna says that's why she spends most of the times out of the chats, and there's nothing wrong with that, Johanna. You can watch a show and not have to take sides or participate in that part of it. You have to think about survival, and you certainly don't want to end up in a court system unless you're prepared to spend a lot of money and time on it. And nobody thinks that things are going to come up that are going to make you worry about it. If you don't have heart-rending things happening at the same time, you can handle one or two things, but you can't handle both. And when it comes down to deadlines, you're going to side on this, what it is with your family for deadlines that affect your family itself. I got caught right in the middle of it, and it was, I can't tell you how heartrending it is making those decisions, because I was splitting the time between my wife and trying to get some things accomplished. I can tell you I didn't get much sleep, and I didn't get anything to eat during those periods, period. We ate on a run. Thank goodness for the generosity that came out of Lisa's channel. We were provided a meal card so that for a place where we could get something on the way there or on the way back, a simple phone call, and there were, our meals were made, and there was no time lost and other things. At home here, it was nothing more than trying to clean up, feed the pets, get as much sleep as we could, if we could, and head back to the hospital. That was what happened to me over a 2-month period, and also one of my daughters. See Heineken's in the chat. Lucinda, Tammy B, 365 Easy Carnivore. Kevin J's, Strat Lover. All right. How do you guys handle reality? I mean, you ever get into a fix where it's hard to figure out which way to go, or how to decide what your reality is for the day or future? Or, history, the reality is already over. So you only have today and your future to worry about. Campy says, yes, I've been there, but it was about my life, not strangers on the internet. Yeah. Sometimes when you try to do good works, it don't always work out, in your interest. And sometimes you feel like you're spinning your wheels. I've never, and I still don't, I don't think it was wrong to try to help out Michelle and John. I don't regret it. If I didn't help out, and the people that did try to help out, would have been worse, or I think it would have been if we hadn't jumped in there. There was a lot of things accomplished there. One was people got to see the reality of a real yard that was there, instead of a description that wasn't true. They got to see a fence built, and it was done the right way. And even though those around us said, well, there's no concrete in the hole, and there's nothing up there that's going to hold up. First time a hurricane comes along, it's going to fall down. Well, a hurricane came, it was still there. There's concrete in the hole. You see it all the way around the hole. So, and it is a good fence, and it was a better fence than what was initially intended. The little girl got to have a Christmas, and there were several other kids from town there that was able to come there and have a Christmas too at the same time. And the idea of that helped in the Christmas this time, where multiple children were helped out, and so good came out of that part. So I don't think it was wrong to help Tanya. How are you doing there, Tanya? I don't think it hurt to help this family out. I don't feel bad about it at all. Campy says, I was talking about the minions regards about what has gone on in my life. I have always been there for others. Well, thank you, Scampy Girl. I'm glad you have a heart and empathy. It's something that seems to be waning as more years go by. I think people do have empathy, but I also think it's harder to show anymore because the world has changed so much. And there again, it's only my opinion, and opinions can change from day to day because of the life that you have to lead at the time. Yeah, the lies and deceit will get to us if we allow it. There's a lot of truth in that. Reality is perception with facts and common sense. Your life will look different than others as it should. The common denominator where our moral compass puts our paths and stuff I don't understand. You know, this case is similar to one that was won last week. Matter of fact, it's almost like they're twin cases. When things like that happen, it makes everybody feel better that gets involved in something like this. I gotta turn one of my lights on. This thing is starting to fade out from lack of lighting. I'm in the office here. Oh, it should be a little better. Probably still a little grady. If I turn this one on over here, it might get too bright. I don't know. Whoop. I turned it the other way. This camera isn't the best camera in the world. It's my computer itself. The better one's up there, and I didn't turn it on in time, so the program itself didn't capture that camera up there. And my breathing's a little messed up here. There we go. Heineken. Yeah, I just went over yours. Bearded, hey Ray, that's beautiful. Hey, fences settle. That's what they do. What they do, man. I put fences around my two houses and they settle. So you just fix them and you got to wait. Dan, you get there. You said reality is if Jerem puts his life on YouTube, then he has to accept responsibility for his problems financially and mentally, but he blames everyone else. Yeah, it's part of the drama. You know, it's created for a reason. It's called finances. And apparently on some of the things he had said, it was a gold mine. And in reality, it is. He took a small town. He's got a lot of influence there. He has more money probably than all of them put together if it comes down to that. It's unfortunate, but that's kind of the way of the world. Finances mean an awful lot. Yeah. You know, one thing we should never be penalized over is our common sense and our opinions. If if we as a country ever allow our freedoms slip away for being able to talk and say something, we will absolutely lose all other freedoms. Because if you can't talk to each other so you can come up with something common that we can work with, then we're subject to things. Look at one of the best examples where you can actually see it. You can go on the internet and get fresh photos of it, is Cuba. In the last year or so, it's been harder on them. The COVID has made probably every person over there in Cuba suffer. They just don't have the things that are needed to provide the necessities so that they can live comfortable. And it's been so many generations that have lived under those hardships. They don't realize how bad they are. You and I, in an environment like we've got, where things are a lot better, we don't realize what they're going through, and they don't realize how good we have it. There was a time back in the 50s where they had a very good life, but people were jealous of each other. Some people had money, others had none, but they all had more than they have today. The reality of the change in leadership, the leaders, the very top, were able to live a normal life. But those that were not leaders, the military leaders of the country, it just slowly dwindled away. And over the course of generations, people don't know what it is. Most of them probably feel that if it wasn't for the embargo from us, there would be a better life. And part of that may be truth, but it's not the whole truth. My lungs, I ruined them by smoking. And part of it is my left lung on the bottom is calcified from asbestos. In my early years, in my 20s, I worked with asbestos materials. And it affected me. And there's nothing I could do about it. Luckily, I didn't get the mesothelioma. If I would have gotten that, I would have been gone a long time ago. All I've got is it shows up. My lungs look very weird. Part of it looks like a road mapping, and part of it's just plain calcified at the bottom on this left side. And part of having a COPD is that sometimes you lose part of your lower part of the muscle structure. And I have lost that too. So I'm all right until I move around. Then it affects me. My point being, people should be able to get along with a moral baseline of similar values, not bank accounts and popularity. Yeah, things have changed for people. Heineken, I'm not exactly sure why. And maybe it's just my perception. It's changed. When I was young, and I always talk about people being poor, but they had enough for a roof over their head and had food on the table for the minimums. There was ways to put food on your table, whether you hunted it or fished for it or whatever you did. And people had smaller homes, and they were lucky to have one car in the driveway. Today, there's a lot more expected. A simple phone, a cheap phone from Walmart would provide the full living for a family of 6 in a little house of under 400 square feet. And the reason I know that is because that's how I lived when I was young. It's a small, very small home and very little income. And what the pricing was back then, it's tough today. The bottom, when you hit bottom, it's really hard. And Bearded, I know that you've had to live on that very bottom and scratch just for the bare necessities. And I respect the things that you went through. You've had a heck of a life. You've had to call back many times. And it does give you a perspective that a lot of us haven't had to go through. So I congratulate you on getting to the point where you're at right now, and you're able to survive in a tough environment, financially and physically. So, yeah, what was I thinking? Doing to others as you would have done, you would have them done to you, and that is a good analogy. John Cook says, Ray, I wish I had your email right now. I would put such a big smile on your face. It would be unreal. John, have you got anything from the court? Any notices that pertain to the case number 2? If you do, you have that knowledge. That is my email. And if all you got to do is ask anybody that's going through the court system. I know you have documentation from the case 2, civil case 2 of the federal court. My address is there. Another one I try to live by is live each day as if it were your last. Both are hard to live by, but keep trying. That brings up a subject. My wife lived the last 2 months as if every day was her last for sure. She knew when her last day was coming. And she lived it better than I could. She's a lot braver. Kevin says it's a mystery, John. It's there, John. Ask Michelle for it. I guarantee you Michelle knows where it's at on the court documents. The one the court uses, that's my email. Yeah, Heineken says perception is a funny thing. I thought we were poor for sure as a kid. Instead, my folks lived within their means and were fiscally responsible. Yeah. I remember people that had some pretty good amount of money, and they would, when there was a store special going on, they would go from store to store to save a nickel. It was smart to do that. Now, my wife was very smart when it comes to saving money. She used coupons. She figured the meals out, what the cost of each meal was. She would have a calculator in her hand on most products that she bought, and she calculated by the ounce, by the way, so she wouldn't be fooled. And she knew how much it took to make a pot of soup or whatever. She could figure it out very quickly. She used her experience to guide her, for future things, including meals. And I'm telling you, she was very, very particular. And she thought way ahead. Yeah, Bearded, you've been through quite a bit, and the world is better for the fact that you have survived, because your knowledge and what you've gone through has give us a better perspective of how things can be when you went through the fire. And literally, you went through the fire and come out the other side. Marley, how are you doing today? It was coming out a little bit. I've only had one real beard in my whole life. My wife didn't particularly care for it. It was back when I was around 40, and so I shaved it off and never grew it back. Sweet Cheeks, I see you in here. Haven't gained an angel this morning, and there was a glorious reunion of my mom, and my grandpa when grandpa arrived. Wow. I'm sorry for your loss. I pray that you don't go through a lot of heartache over this, but certainly in a better place. I know I really believe my wife is in a better place. Otherwise, it would be impossible to live the life that I live right now. I think it says, as a kid, I heard from my dad, "Did you ask your mother?" From my mom, "What did your dad say?" They're a team raising kids. They celebrated 61 years in November. Wow. This last January would have been our 63rd Heineken. Paulette lost your father in 1999. Most of the time when something like that happens, it's almost like it was yesterday. I know I lost my son, I think it's about 5 years before I retired. I can recall every minute of the last few hours I spent with him as if it happened yesterday. Well, she was up there. 90 years is quite a while, sweet cheeks. I know there's been a lot of times over the years that I wished I could talk to my grandmother or my parents. And I'd love even a few minutes with my son. It always reminds you how precious life is, no matter what. My dad was 86, and he died of kidney cancer. And they had removed one of them, and a year later, he passed away from kidney cancer. It had went through pretty much his entire body. It's very slow growth in the beginning, and then once it spreads, then it collapses very quickly. It says, "My knowledge of growing a beard and roll your beard back there, buddy, you saw your video, right?" Oh, you're talking about on the video that you put up? Yes, I watched the videos. I went back and looked. I also saw the flag that you put up too. Yes, I see the fishing man. Yeah, yep, I noticed I have beard. Thanks, bearded. Yes. The one thing Christians have to look forward to is eternal life, and you'll be able to rejoin those that proceeded before you to be home with the Lord. Sweet Cheek says, "Life is too short to hate." That's reality. Yeah. I'm afraid I walk a thin line about hate. There are a lot of moments that I probably cross that line, and I do everything I can to get back on the right track. And part of it is asking Christ for forgiveness. it's very hard to accept some of those things out there. Um, and like I say, it's a fine line that I walk when it comes about staying away from the path of hate. Hate makes it so you can't sleep. It affects every single thing you do when it takes root, and you do have to fight it. If you don't, it will take you. Most of those people out there that talk about me, that I rant about, in all honesty, I don't think most of them hate me. They don't like me, that's for certain. But they're listening to somebody that would like to make them hate me, and in turn is destroying them for it. We never know what tomorrow brings. That's true, Tanya. Our life could be a roller coaster. This drama that we discuss on a regular basis, it's a roller coaster, and it has a lot of ups and downs. And I know when I get on here, the things I say, if I really felt like going into each one of those videos out there, I would see a lot of this come back at me in a different version of it. I've just got to the point where it's too hard to watch everything on there. I get tired of seeing all the lies out there. Yeah, you have to be careful, Meredith, of letting the holidays be affected by a person that has joined the Lord. It's actually a happy time for him. We think of Easter, and our Lord was resurrected. So it gives us hope. That is all I can tell you. There you go, Paulette. That's a good analogy to have. And she's said here that she loves everyone. Some people I don't like. Yeah. My grandma used to say, everybody has a little bit of good in them. It doesn't mean you have to bring them home for supper. And I've always remembered that to a certain extent. Sometimes it's hard to find something good about a person. It takes a while. There are certain, well, I don't want to go into some of the facts of why, but the Bible can tell you. Wow. I just got something here. It says, I don't know how I got it, but it says Fed 2 was dismissed. Has anybody heard anything about that? Let me know. I just got that on my phone just now. If it is a reason to celebrate. And if it is a reason, I'll come back on here in a day or two, and we'll have a celebration. I hope it's true, Lord. I hope it's true. I pray that it is. It's going to be relief on a lot of people. It'll make pretty. Wow. That'd be amazing. It'll bring a lot of people back from that threshold. That means that this spring, I won't be worried about legalities. I'll be on a real vacation. And it may be my last. That's why I want to have a co-pilot. my age is catching up with me. I know you guys. I had a nice motorhome, and I sold it a couple of years ago. And I dearly wish I had it right now, but I went out and bought that trailer just so I could. It's my last hurrah, because I know that I'm getting to the age where I can't. John, somebody here said that I can't tell you who it was, but they said that Fed 2 was dismissed. Lord, I hope it's true. I hope. I pray that it is. If you guys hold on there a second, I'm going to look at my mail and see what's going on here, because the judge would have to. It would have to be in my. It will have to be in my mail if it's. I'm looking at a document here. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm supposed to get something electronic to me. This looks like here. It says report and recommendation 52, 53, 55, 61, 106, 107, 110, 127. Motions to dismiss. Signed by Magistrate Judge Zachary Belotho. On 210, internal deadline for referral to judge if objections are not filed earlier. It's a report and recommendation, but I don't see the order, okay? But one of those is my submittal to dismiss. So I don't, until I see that, what the judge actually put out there, I don't know. And Bearded, you're going to take a trip too. Maybe we'll all end up down there about the same time. If mine is a little up in the air because of the whichever route that I'm going to take. Marla, you're going to send me the documents? Great. I don't know if it's true. I don't have the document in front of me. I have the motion. Maybe I'll know pretty quick here. I haven't seen. I don't have anything in here that. Let me go back in here and see what else is in here. Just. Okay, Tori sent it to me. It says here, report and recommendation. Plaintiffs commenced this case against 10 defendants, 8 of whom are proceeding pro se. The operative complaint is sprawling. Page amended complaint with pages and pages of YouTube links that borders the shotgun pleading. Plaintiffs allege violations of Layman Act along with various state law claims currently before the court, and motions to dismiss filed by 8 defendants. Okay, it says 2 defendants have not made a motion to dismiss, or not before the court at this point. On me, my lawsuit against me, there was civil conspiracy. There was 14 counts of it on this lawsuit. Boy, there's a lot of pages here. There's 45 pages here, everybody. So I'm trying to flip through it pretty quick. I'm trying to get down to the final verbiage. See that this ended up being an extremely complicated case. Defendant Hughes' motion to dismiss granted, and the claims against Defendant Hughes dismissed with prejudice for failure to state a claim. Defendant Maskin, granted. Defendant Cook's motion to dismiss, granted. Defendant Bonebreak, dismissed with prejudice for failure to state a claim. Bonebreak's motion to dismiss be granted. Defendant Kelsey, granted. Techendorf, granted. Oh, shit. Man, I can't believe what I'm reading. This matter be recommitted to be assigned for further proceedings against the defendants, Preston and Layman, as well as the determination for the reasonable attorney fees due to defendant Helm under Florida's anti-SLAPP statute. Shit. this matter be recommended to the undersigned for further proceedings involving defendants Preston and Luthman, as well as a determinant of the reasonable attorney fees due to defendant Helm under Florida's anti-SLAPP statute. Holy shit. Objections to these findings and recommendations must be filed within 14 days of the date of report and recommendation. Any different deadline that may appear on electronic docket is for the courts. Wow. It looks to me like it's a real deal, folks. I'm going to turn another light on it. You know, it looks like the sun has went down. Oh. Let's see what we got in here. It says, I'm going to get back in here in the chat. I'm going to try to talk if I can. God works. Yes, Marla. Oh, Lord. I probably won't sleep tonight, people. Tori Jones, I'm still alive, but read it. Holy mackerel. I had to get down. There's 45 pages there. And at first I was trying to read what was going on there. And I finally went down to the last 2 pages so that I could read off what was in there. I read you what I received just now. Thank all of you for all your prayers and for backing us guys. It's not over yet because they will be filing against the dismissal, and we'll have to see how that part goes. But at this point, it looks like it could be over. I told you I could put a smile on your face. Thank you, John. When I get in the Florida area, I'm going to buy you a meal, John. You and Michelle and Harley. I want you to know how happy I am, and we'll do our celebration. For my part, of celebrating it when I get down there. It'd be nice if all of us could get together and have a nice barbecue so that we could have some fellowship together. It's been a long, tough road. Oh, Lord. It is amazing. Sweet Chick says, love you, Ray. Can't wait for you to come to Florida. I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of people I want to meet. I know I would. I'm looking at anticipation to spend a night down there or two in the area where Robbie is. I want to be there to see some rock soul. Oh, Lord. I am a happy man. And if there was anything that could make me happy, it was that. This last 6 months have been terrible. All right, looks like Lisa's going live. I'm going to get off here. I want to go see what Lisa's got to say. But thank you, everybody, and I hope everything here is true that I'm reading on the through my email. And thank you, everybody. And when I get a chance, I'll get back on here. Not tonight, but I will get back on here. So have a good day.